What?
Everyone that's logged onto the platform, please mute yourself until spoken to. And if you're here for your own case, please make sure your full name is being displayed.
Good morning. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward. This is the State Court of Clayton County. This is courtroom 304. This is July 30. This is the arraignment calendar for the jail cases and probation revocation. So I'm going to call the calendar. If the person is represented by counsel, their attorney can respond. But I do need to know if your name is on this calendar that you are here. First name on the calendar is Andy Amaya. This is a petition. Mr. Taylor, y'all are muted. Have y'all spoken to Mr. Amaya? He had Brandon Rosenblum as his attorney initially. Is Mr. Rosenblum here? But that was 2021. Or I'm sorry, no, that was March.
We have not spoken to Mr. Amaya. Just need to find out if he's requesting assistance on the VOP.
Okay, and also, yeah, find out, I guess, if he has new charges or if these are technicals.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, next on the calendar is Lucky Miosha Brock. Ms. Brock has two cases on the calendar.
Your Honor.
Yes, and Ms. Hahn has spoken to Mr. Brock and is ready to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning. That's going to be NOLO on both cases.
All right, bring her up.
Rick Brock. Huh? Yeah, she doesn't even want me to say anything about it.
Yeah, she's been here before.
She said she doesn't care about it. Yeah, well, she doesn't want me to mention anything about that. I told her that for this one. All right. Hi, Ms. Brock. All right, we're gonna go in front of the judge right now.
All right, Ms. Brock, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony that you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. So, Ms. Brock, you're before the court on two cases. First case is 2024 CR 04166 for criminal trespass. You're represented by attorney Chelsea Hahn with the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. You're entering a plea of NOLO. Is that correct, Ms. Hahn?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and on the second case, it's case 2024 CR 06214. You're represented also by Ms. Hahn. The charge is criminal trespass, and it is my understanding, Ms. Hahn, that she is also entering a plea of NOLO on the second case.
Yes, Your Honor.
By doing so, Ms. Brock, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Ms. Brock?
Yes, I do.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
For case number 2024 CR 04166, back on April 24th of 2024, officers at the airport responded to an incident in which this defendant was causing a disturbance, yelling and screaming at the establishment. She refused to answer any questions. When they checked her system, they saw that she had previously been trespassed on October 18th of 2023. The state's recommendation is 12 months, served 30 days, credit for any time served, suspended, and then fee is not to return back to the airport. And then for 2024 CR 0621 on July 10th of 2024, this defendant was at the MARTA. The officer had recognized that she had been previously trespassed from that airport. He also saw her urinating at the location. The state's recommendation is 12 months, 3 days, credit for any time served, balance suspended, and then she is not to return back to the MARTA. And this is to be served concurrently with 2024 CR 04166.
You said concurrent, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Ms. Hahn?
Your Honor, we just ask that you accept the state's recommendation. I believe she had served the 90 days on the first case back when she was initially arrested for that. And then I believe she's got about 10 more days, 10, 11 more days on the second case.
Okay. But it's meant to be credit for time served now.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right. So, Ms. Brock, Ms. Brock has some family challenges. Is that correct? She's been here before, and like there's no available family assistance. So that's what it is.
Your Honor, and I explained to Ms. Brock that I went next door and got a list of shelters, and so I would share that with her, so that hopefully we can get her someplace where she can be stable, at least temporarily, until she's able to find somewhere more stable.
All right. Thank you. So, Ms. Brock, I'm going to accept your plea on both cases. Your plea is nolo. I'll accept your plea on case 2024 CR 04166 and 2024 CR 06214. These sentences will run concurrent. 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served, balance suspended, as long as you do not go back to Hartsfield, Jackson, Atlanta International Airport during these 12 months. And the same sentence on the second case, 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served, balance suspended, as long as you do not go back to Hartsfield, Jackson, Atlanta International Airport, and as long as on both cases you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. These are concurrent, and at this time, ma'am, you're free to go back with the sheriff's office, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Can you hold her real quick while I get her the list?
All right, Andrew William Caldwell.
If you can just go back there and I'll get her the list of shelters before she goes down. Your Honor, that's going to be a no-lo, please. But can y'all get Caldwell, please? Caldwell, he's a male, yes. And Your Honor, while they're going to get him, if I could address Mr. Donald Campbell on the calendar.
Sure. I was just looking at his case.
Your Honor,
Cases.
so I've sent the order to DBHDD, and so he's on their list, so they are working on it. I have the date, May 28th, so it's a little bit late, but they are working on it. So he's on their list, and Mr. Moore and I were trying to see if maybe, since he's been medicated, if we may be able to get him into the Clayton Center. So he tasked me with trying to figure that out. So while he's up here today, I am going to speak with him just to see if he's any better. But he's on their list for an evaluation.
Okay. I just, if he's better because he's being medicated, that's a good thing if y'all can help him in that respect. But the issue much with Ms. Brock is going to be, what kind of support do you have to keep you, to help you get to your appointments, to help you keep up with your documents, to help you take, remember to take your meds. And so that's kind of where we're stuck.
Yes, I understand.
All right. But thank you for thinking about that. Mr. Caldwell, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. Okay, you can put your hand down, sir. This is case 2021 CR 05857 for obstruction of an officer. You're before the court and represented by Attorney Chelsea Hahn with the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Hahn has indicated you're entering a plea of nolo. By doing so, sir, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, speak up a little bit more for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor, back on January 8th of 2021, officers responded to 1011 Cameron Landing Drive in Stockbridge in reference to a person shot. Upon arrival, the defendant was also at the accident or at the incident scene. When officers attempted to conduct their investigation, the defendant continued to interfere, would not let them inside the home, and made threats toward the officers. The state's recommendation is a $300 fine. He's been in since July 26th, so we are willing to suspend the fine. He also has other pending charges, so we're going to suspend the fine on that.
All right, so Ms. Hahn, anything on behalf of Mr. Caldwell?
Yes, Your Honor. That day his brother got shot. He was very afraid of what was happening. He's the one who called the police. He's entering a NOLO plea today. He's got some other stuff that he's got to handle. He just wants this to be over with. But yeah, he doesn't agree with the facts as stated by the officers.
All right, so Mr. Caldwell, I'm going to accept your plea of nolo. I'll sentence you to pay a fine in the amount of $300. That fine will be suspended for credit for time served, sir. And your this case is concluded and you are free to deal with the other matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right, on Campbell, the announcement is that there's an evaluation in progress and you may have an updated announcement later in the calendar. Javante Carter has 2 cases.
Your Honor, he's in the second batch, so Mr. Taylor's speaking with him, but we're ready on Holland.
On who?
Holland, oh, and I think. Mr.
Okay, Vincent Holland, okay. Mr. Holland is back.
I have 2 announcements. We're ready.
Yes, sir.
On Mr. Amaya's violation of probation, and I've spoken
Okay,
to Mr. Carter. We're ready to proceed with Mr. Carter.
okay. All right, so whoever comes up, Carter, Amaya, Holland, it doesn't matter, we'll handle
I'm gonna speak with him real quick just to see if his medicine has affected him at all. I'll speak to him as soon as task is over. Tell him Holland then. Can you do Holland? Sorry. That's Carter. What's he eating? It's 10. Oh,
Chicken, they real good. You like chicken?
Do you want that one?
You don't want it?
Mm-mm. 'Cause no, you got it. Your Honor, we're ready on Holland.
All right, Mr. Holland, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down, Mr. Holland. You're before the court on 2024 CR 06217. You're before the court with Miss Chelsea Hahn, your attorney, for criminal trespass. Miss Hahn, what is your client pleading to the offense?
Nolo, Your Honor.
By entering a plea of nolo, you give up the right to to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Mr. Holland?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor, back on June 21st of 2024, officers responded to the Woods at Tyra Apartments located at 6726 Tower Boulevard in Jonesboro. When they got there, they spoke to the property manager, said he advised that he went into one of the apartments and observed the defendant sleeping in the apartment and was a vacant apartment. Defendant admitted that he was not supposed to be there. The state's recommendation is 12 months, served 39 days, credit for the time served, balance suspended, and then he is not to well, actually, there's going to be a banishment from Clayton County.
Woo, we going old school. We banishing folk today.
That's the recommendation, I believe, that was relayed to Lister and Holt. So
I
don't
got
wanna
you.
say
I'm not saying, it was an interesting awakening to me when I really first found out about banishment here in the state of Georgia. Mr. Holland, so I suspect that Mr. Holland is drawn to this county for a reason. So what I need to ask is, what kind of ties does he have to this county that may make it likely that he's going to violate my sentence? Because I understand that there might be some other issues also.
Yeah.
So, Your Honor, we briefly spoke about it when we were in the attorney booth. I mentioned the banishment. It seemed a little bit harsh to me, but he didn't necessarily have an issue with it because he said he was going to be going somewhere to stay with somebody in Fulton. Personally, I have concerns about it, but he doesn't. He doesn't have family.
If he doesn't, I'm fine with it, Mr. Holland. So for the 12 months of this sentence, you are banished from from Clayton County. You can go to any other county, but you can't be caught in Clayton County. Now, we have expressways that run through Clayton County. If you are on the expressway or you have to use thoroughfares to get through the county, that is not part of the punishment, but you are not to come back into the county. The court is going to sentence you to 12 months to 39 days, credit for time served, and the balance will be suspended as long as you do not enter the confines of Clayton County, Georgia, unless you are traveling through on one of the thoroughfares in the county, including the interstates and state roads. All right, you understand? Okay. All right, you can go back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Your Honor. You ready on Carter? We're ready on Carter, Your Honor.
Ms. King,
Yes.
Mr. Carter's been in custody 5 days on his first case. Would you be willing to suspend the fine as credit for time served?
Yeah. Which one? Let me see which one is first, because the second one,
Yes,
that fine is going to have to be adjusted because it's going to go to 1,000. Because if he pleads to both, does he have a valid license?
I will ask at this time.
Can we check? Yeah, let me get his license. Let me see if I have it, and then I'm sorry, Judge Hayward. Let's check.
That's all right. We'd rather get it right the first time.
Okay.
Ms. King, Mr. Carter is informing me that he does not have a current valid license.
I was gonna say that. So You want me to call you or? Okay, I guess we can just talk here. So the second license charge, that's gonna go up to $1,000 if he pleads to both. So the first one, it could be 500 and then we suspend the fine, but the second one, that's gonna have to be $1,000 fine. Cause it will be his second and 5.
We understand. We're ready to proceed.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, cause the recommendation says 500 for both. Okay,
All right, Mr. Carter, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Javante Carter, 2021 CR 08900 for window tint violation, driving on a suspended or revoked license and no license. You're represented by Attorney Taz Taylor, who's with you at the podium. The second case is 2022 CR 06939 for driving on a suspended and revoked license or no license. Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yeah.
All right, you can put your hand down. So, Mr. Taylor, on the case ending in 08900 for window tint, light driving on a suspended or revoked license and no license, what does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Your Honor, my client's pleading nolo to count 2, driving on a suspended license. Our understanding is count 1, the tinted window will be no frost.
Okay.
And count 3 will also be no frost.
All right, and on the second case ending in 06939, what does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
My client pleads guilty to count 1, driving on suspended license, and count 2 to be no frost.
All right, by entering a plea of nolo to count 2 on the first case and guilty to count 1 on the second case, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
yes, Your Honor, back on May 10th of 2021, Clayton County officer was conducting traffic control in Clayton County at Old Dixie Road when the defendant drove past him with tinted windows. During the traffic stop, he learned that the defendant's license was suspended. The state's recommendation for count 1 is to no cross it. Count 2 will be a $500 fine, suspended, and then count 3 will be no cross. And then in case number 2022 CR 06939, on June 4th of 2021, officer while on patrol learned that the defendant did not have a valid license. And the state's recommendation for that one is going to be a $1,000 fine because it's his second and 5, and then count 2 would be no cross.
Okay. All right. So the fine is going to be $1,420 with the surcharges. I hope Mr. Carter is aware of that. So,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, how much time is he going to need to pay the total?
Since he's been in custody, he's definitely going to need some time, Your Honor, and he's not driving currently.
All right. So 12 months pay only probation.
That'll be fine, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Carter, you'll be on 12 months pay only probation, which means that as long as you're paying your fines and fees, then as soon as your fines and fees have been fully paid, your probation will end. The quicker you pay them, the quicker it ends. But you will have up to 12 months to make those payments. I understand that you're getting out of jail, so you may take you some time to ramp up, but the quicker you make everything, the quicker that you will be off probation, because you still have to appear for probation reports as long as your probation is active.
All right.
Sorry. So as long as your probation is active, you still have to appear for your probation reports, but they will end as soon as you've paid the fines and fees. So And the probation officer is going to meet with you and explain everything to you, okay? Mr. Carter, I'm noticing a very horrible trend amongst young people here in this county. Nobody seems to want to get a license and keep a license. Everybody's driving, they'll buy new cars and still not have a valid license or valid insurance. It costs about $45 to go down and get a license. And then if what is suspending your license is you're not paying child support or you fail to come to court, those are fixable things. Those are things that you can control. You got a computer in your pocket, a phone. If you got a court date and you got a ticket, calendar it in your phone. You're not gonna miss your court date. Most suspensions are based on a failure to appear. But if the other one is they suspending your license because you failing to pay child support, man up, sir. If you got children that you brought into this world, pay for them. These are my two rules. So you don't have to explain it to me. I'm just telling you, you got to keep a license. This is not like New York City where you can hop on a train or a bus.
Okay.
I mean, a driver's license is essential in the state of Georgia, and you can't just keep going around with no license, just gonna drive anyway. We don't do drive anyway.
Yeah.
How old are you, sir?
Right.
28? You good and grown. I need you to get your life.
My life good, man. That still happens.
I'm sorry, your life is good, but you in a jumpsuit in front of me,
I know.
and you in shackles.
I know.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to get your life, sir.
Mhm.
Because your idea good and my idea good is two different things. Don't get another one of these suspended licenses. On the fourth one is a felony.
Yes, man.
All right. Going back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, so are we ready on Amaya? Let's go ahead and knock this one out. All right, Mr. Amaya, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. Speak up a little bit for me. Oh, you're muted. Mr. Taylor, unmute.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You can put your hands down, Mr. Amaya. Mr. Amaya, you're before the court on your second hearing for a petition for revocation of probation, case 2021 CR 02722. You were before this court for driving under the influence, open container, and on March 5th of 2024, you were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 6 months and 26 days remaining, and this is your second hearing. So you're before the court because on June 20th, 2024, it says that you turned in a specimen that was too dilute to assure of a negative result, and you failed to pay. Mr. Taylor is representing you on this case. Mr. Taylor, what's going on with your client?
Your Honor, Mr. Amaya works in construction. And
They work in construction. I drink a lot of water. Okay.
yes, Your Honor, and I personally can attest to the amount of drinking water since I've been not working construction, but doing a lot of exercise outside in the past month. And you do require a lot of water. I can't speak to Mr. Amaya's failure to pay. We haven't discussed that matter.
All right.
He's been in custody since Thursday, so he has been in custody 5 days. on this current petition to violate.
Ms. Chang?
Your Honor, the probation department recommends that 5 days be revoked, credit for time served since July 25th, return to probation under the same conditions.
And
All right.
no objection to that recommendation.
Okay, so Mr. Amaya, you know what it takes to turn in a good sample, and that's what's necessary. So you need to go ahead. If you got to ask to come in on a Monday right after you have a weekend and you haven't been working construction, work it out, because you don't want to keep having dilute samples and somebody thinks there's something going on with you. Okay? All right. So I'm gonna give you credit for 5 days revoked, time served, and return you to probation.
And Your Honor, if I may give him his next appointment with me.
All right, Mr. Amaya, Ms. Chang is going to give you your next appointment, all right?
Mr. Amaya, you need to report to our office on August 15th at 1:30.
1:30, okay? Right. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Chang. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I be excused?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, I hate this thing so much. I filled out everything and it just went blank.
Your Honor, this is a little out of order, but I have Mr. Simpson ready to go forward.
Okay, I filled out the form and then I hit something and it just disappeared. So I'm having to redo the form. So just hold for me for just a minute.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, and you said this is who, Mr.
This is Mr. Simpson, Your Honor.
Okay, Derek Lamar Simpson, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
You can put your hand down, sir. You're before the court on 2024 CR 06216 for Derek Lamar Simpson for obstruction of an officer. You're represented by Attorney Taz Taylor. Mr. Taylor, what does your client plead to the offense before the court?
Your Honor, my client's pleading nolo to the obstruction charge.
Okay, by entering a plea of nolo, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis recommendation, please. Mr. Florio, I don't have an arraignment calendar listed. Is there something that you're here for on the jail calendar?
Yeah, we have a arraignment calendar for today.
Yes.
I don't have it.
Yes, Judge, I
Okay.
represent Mr. Jamario Cooper. on
All
the
right. I'm
calendar
sorry,
this morning.
Miss Val, if you could send the arraignment calendar. When I clicked on the attachment, it didn't come up, just the jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Yeah, because I was like, Mr. Florio's not usually here on a Tuesday unless I know he's coming. All righty. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. King.
Yes, Your Honor, back on July 2nd of 2024, Clayton County was patrolling the area of Tower Boulevard when he observed a vehicle that had something obstructing its tag. He also saw 3 of the passengers riding with no seatbelt. When he approached the vehicle, he asked the passengers for the identification. The defendant refused to give his name. When he went back to run the other 2 passengers' name, the defendant ran on foot. The state's recommendation is a $300 fine, Your Honor. And we could suspend the fine given the fact that he's been in jail.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Taylor?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have no objection to the Senate's recommendation.
All right. So, Mr. Simpson, I'm going to accept your plea. I'll sentence you to pay a fine in the amount of $300. That $300 fine is going to be suspended because of credit for time served. And sir, you're free to go at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. All right. Let me, are y'all ready on any other jail stuff? I'm just looking for yeah, I clicked on what you sent me, Miss Val. I don't see it.
I just sent you another one, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Because when I clicked on that little thing at the bottom, it was just giving me one thing. And I was like, oh, we don't have an arraignment. That's interesting. But it was too good to be true. Thank you, ma'am. All right. So while they're working stuff out in the jail, let me go ahead and look at this arraignment calendar.
And Your Honor, we're ready on Mr. McDougal is ready to come.
McDougal. All right. Just give me a minute. Jamario Cooper.
Good morning, Judge. I represent Mr. Cooper. If I could just
Morning.
speak briefly with Ms. King, that should be resolved this morning.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. So after we do McDougal, we'll go ahead and put you in a breakout room with Ms. King. Are there any other private attorneys here who need a breakout room with the state? No, I think it's just you, Mr. Florio. Everybody else is Lister, Holton, Dennis. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. So let me do McDougal. Raise your right. Is he here? Oh. Thought he was up. Mr. McDougal, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. McDougal, you're before the court on 2024 CR 06361 for battery family violence, count 1, battery, count 2, simple battery family violence, count 3, simple battery, count 4, simple battery family violence, count 5, simple battery, count 6, cruelty to children's count 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. You're represented by Mr. Taz Taylor. Mr. Taylor, what is your client plea to the offenses before the court?
Your Honor, to count 1 guilty, count 3 and count 5 will be null prost, and count 6 nolo. If Ms. King can indicate, I believe.
Okay, so 2 will merge,
2 should merge into 1.
right?
I believe, and then there's count 6, which is a separate person or alleged victim.
Mhm.
So that's a nolo plea to count 6.
And then 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
My understanding is there'll be no prost if Ms. King. will
That's
contest.
correct. So just, count 1 and 6 is what he's pleading to.
Okay. All right, by entering a plea of guilty to count 1 and nolo to count 6, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor, back on July 19th of 2024, officers responded to an address located at 6355 Lanier Road in Morrow in reference to a domestic disturbance. Upon arrival, they spoke with the victim, Elena Joseph, and then the other victim, Nautica McDougal. They advised that they had got into a verbal dispute with the defendant, and during the dispute, the defendant had smacked Alana Joseph's cell phone, causing it to hit her face and cause a laceration on her lip. They also told the officers that he grabbed Nautica McDougal's head, physically grabbed it and pointed in a different direction in an aggressive manner. The state's recommendation for count 1 is 12 months probation, a $300 fine, 40 hours of community service work. He is to complete an anger management course, and he is to have no violent or harassing contact with the victim. There was also a family violence intervention program on there, but the state is not going to ask for that if he would just complete the anger management course. And then count 2 would merge, count 3 would be null pros. Count 4, we're going to null pros. Count 5, we're going to null pros. Count 6 is going to be 12 months probation, a $300 fine, 40 hours of community service work, and no violent or harassing contact with the victim. And that can run consecutively or concurrently, however the defendant feels is best. And then count 7, 8, and 9, we're going to null pros.
All right, who are the victims? How are they related?
Their sister and brother, I believe. They're not in a relationship. McDougal is the brother of both of them, I believe.
No,
My understanding is those are
those are my children, and I take care of my sister and my children, and they work on the medicine. They take medicine.
specifically, Alana Joseph is
This is my niece.
his niece, Your Honor, and I believe another children are nieces and nephews.
That I also read.
The ones that were the children that were alleged in the cruelty to children accusation that was present when the altercation occurred.
Hey, do they all live together?
Yes, well, I was down here. I take care of my sister because she takes mental medicine, and I've been helping her for many years. I'm from Louisiana. So I came down here and got a job and helped her. and her children because she also had brain tumor dying. And I came to make sure they was taking their medicine, and instead I caught them drinking. My little younger nieces and nephews, and that's why all that stuff happened.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. All right, so I'm gonna accept your plea of guilty to count 1 and 6. I mean, count 1, count 6, your NOLO plea. I'll sentence you to 12 months probation, a $300 fine, 40 hours of community service, an anger management class, and you're to have no violent or harassing contact with Nautica McDougal or Alana Joseph. On count 6 will run concurrent with count 1. A NOLO plea, 12 months probation, $300 fine, 40 hours of community service, and no violent or harassing contact. All of that will run concurrent with Councilwoman. All right.
Judge, if I can make one statement, I just
Sure.
had contact with the victim's advocate, and they're requesting for him not to return back to that address because they're in fear of the defendant.
Sorry, is this the children or the, Mr. McDougal's, sister?
she would.
I believe it's the victims listed, that was listed, in the accusation. He claims that that's his nieces,
My nieces.
but they're in fear of, and they have safety concerns, and they're requesting, not to return back to the home. But I will leave that up to the court's discretion. I don't think that was included in a recommendation. We just received that information though.
Okay. So do not return to 6355 Lanier Road, Morrow, Georgia, unless if you have personal items that are at that home that are undisputedly your personal items, you may return one time after making an appointment with the sheriff's office to accompany you to the location. The sheriff's office will keep the peace. They will not transport anything. They will not carry anything. They'll just be there to stand by to make sure that there are no altercations while you remove your items. And so you have to make that appointment through the sheriff's office and take a copy of the court's order with you to show the sheriff that the court is allowing you one opportunity to go back to get your personal items.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I did have one more thing. So I
Yes.
spoke with Mr. McDougal. He let me know that he's going to be living in Louisiana. So we're asking that he be able to report to probation via phone or mail, until he completes his requirements. If I missed.
Well, at the point, he ain't even out of jail yet. At the point that he's ready to move to Louisiana, he can let me know. But I don't anticipate he's getting on a bus tomorrow. So if he wants to ask probation for a modification, they can send that over to me. But until such time as I know he's on his way to Louisiana, we're not changing it.
Okay, Your Honor, he'll be moving shortly. So when he gets out, I'll request that he come back.
Talk immediately to probation and keep them aware of what's going on.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Y'all still working on people? Yep. All right, Ms. King, I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Mr. Florio. Let's see if y'all can work something out with his case, and then we'll go back to both calendars. All right, Ms. King and Mr. Florio, I'm gonna put you in breakout room number 2. All right, we'll be back.
Your Honor, may I have a breakout room with Mr. Tiquan Perkins?
Yes, ma'am. Hold on.
Thank you.
All right, you guys are in breakout room number 4, Mr. Perkins and the courtroom. All right, y'all got an agreement?
We do, Your Honor. Mr. Cooper would like to enter a no-low plea with a negotiated agreement for the court's consideration.
Sounds good. Mr. Cooper, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down, sir. You're before the court on 2021 CR 05841 for speeding 26 to 30 miles per hour over the limit. You're represented by Mr. Thomas Florio. You're entering a plea of no-low. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor, back on March 12th of 2021, Clayton County officer was in the area of the North I-75 Expressway as far as Park when he used his LiDAR to clock the defendant going 97 miles per hour in a 65 miles per hour zone. The state's recommendation is a $500 fine.
Your Honor, we have one request of the court with regard to this matter.
Go ahead, sir.
Judge, only that Mr. Cooper has kids and he just, in full candor, he just spent a ton of money for back to school items and things like that. Would the court be willing to give us 30 to 60 days to allow him time to pay the fine?
Oh yeah, 60 days, no problem.
Okay.
I
Thank you
thought
so
you were
much,
gonna
Judge.
ask for something outrageous. No,
No, ma'am.
that's standard. So it's I'm sorry, I had some interference. What's the fine again? I'm sorry.
$500, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Cooper, the $500 fine is going to be $737.50 with the surcharges. I'll give you 60 days in which to pay. Please make sure you put a reminder in your phone so that you don't miss the 60th day. And the only thing I'm going to ask you to do now is I'm going to need you to chat your email address to us so we can send you that information by email, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how to use the chat function?
I don't, but I'm sure Florio does.
Yeah, I'll send it out. I think I'm pretty sure I got Jamario's email address. If not, just text it to me, Jamario, and I'll send it in the chat.
Okay,
Yes,
if you could
thank you.
just send it to Miss Brenda Castaneda.
Yes, ma'am.
And so once Miss Brenda gets that, Mr. Cooper, you'll get that by email. And it'll also explain, like, you can come in to pay, you can make online or by phone payments, but it'll explain the specifics of that, okay? I think he's all right then. Thanks, Mr. Florio.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll send his email in the chat right now to Ms. Brenda.
All right.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Your Honor.
much. Okay. Well, take care. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Judge.
I appreciate it, ma'am. Thank you, Florio.
All right, Mr. Cooper. Thank you. And Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Cooper,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
need you to slow down, sir. Way down.
I wasn't going on 97, ma'am, but I ain't got time to be fighting. So
I got you. I got you. I feel you.
Appreciate it. Okay.
All
thank you.
right. Take care.
You too.
All right. So I think the courtroom in the jail cases, they're still in the breakout room. So when they come out, then we'll continue those cases.
Okay, and Mr. Cavante Bronson is on the arraignment calendar. He has traffic offenses. I represented. Can I just speak to him?
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask about that. Mr. Bronson, you have a speeding offense and you have some documents offenses, invalid registration and no tag. If you wish to represent yourself, then you can speak with the state and y'all may be able to work something out. If you wish to have an attorney, then I can appoint an attorney to you, but that's your choice, sir.
Well, I'm currently out, so I don't stand looking for. And also,
I'm sorry, you need to start over because I was hearing every other word. You're currently what now?
I stay in the state of South Carolina. I don't stay in Georgia anymore.
Oh,
So,
it doesn't matter. They can, you can talk to the state or they can represent you. The reason we do video court is a lot of the stuff we can resolve long distance. So, you know, even the fact that you stay out of town, the only thing that would prevent you from resolving your case is if you wanted a jury trial, you would have to come for that. But
no, I don't. I just want to get everything taken care of today because I know I have 2 bench warrants for these charges. So,
okay. Well, once you take care of them, those will go away. I'll withdraw those. You've appeared today, so they'll get withdrawn anyway. But did you wish to speak with the state and see if you could resolve your case yourself, or did you need an attorney?
I can speak with the case of the state
Okay,
myself.
are you over 21, Mr. Bronson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What part of South Carolina?
Greenville.
Oh, all right then, sir. All right, so I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Miss King. Miss King's going to talk to you about both cases. They're pretty old, so we'll see what we can do so that you all can come up with a solution to resolve those, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, just hold on for a second. I'm going to put you in breakout room number, I think it's number 2. Yeah, I'll put you in breakout room number 2. And when you touch the screen, if you want to get out of the breakout room, just touch the screen again and it should tell you how to leave breakout room. There's a little button that says leave breakout room or return to main meeting. So that way you don't feel like you're stuck, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you. All right, Miss King, you're in breakout room number 2, right?
Ms. King, are you able to put us in a breakout room with you? I feel like it's easier and quicker.
Put you in a breakout room with who?
Oh, hi, Your Honor, with Ms. King.
She's in a breakout room right now, but as soon as she comes out, I will.
Okay, sorry, Your Honor. I thought I saw her on the call.
Thank you.
But I do, Your Honor, well, I'll wait for Ms. King to make the announcement.
And Judge, me and Mr. Bronson did get a plea worked out when the court is ready.
All right. Ms. Hahn wants to speak to you when you have an opportunity. Let me go ahead and help Mr. Bronson so he can go on his way. And then I'll put you in a breakout room with the defense. Mr. Bronson?
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So, sir, you're before the court on 2020 CR 06639 for speeding 31 to 34 miles an hour over the limit. And on case 2020 CR 09870, you have invalid registration and no tag or expired or invalid tag. And you've agreed to represent yourself. You're over 21. And you and the state have come to an agreement on these cases. Ms. King, what is Mr. Bronson and what have you all agreed to on the case ending in 06639.
A $200 fine, Your Honor, and he is
Oh.
eligible to plead no loss.
Okay. And on the case ending in 09870.
We're going to dismiss that case in consideration for the plea on the speeding citation.
All right. Thank you. So, Mr. Bronson, by internal plea of nolo on the speeding case, you have the right to, you're giving up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You're giving up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You're giving up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You're giving up the right to enter evidence and testimony on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Ma'am.
All right. Factual basis. You muted, Ms. King.
Apologize. Back on July 16th, 2020, Clayton County officer was conducting traffic control at Georgia 138 at Roundtree Road when he used his LiDAR to clock the defendant's speed at 76 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone. The state's recommendation is a $200 fine for this.
All right. So, Mr. Bronson, with the surcharges, the fine is going to be $298 total. I give you 30 days at a minimum to pay because you're not even at the courthouse, but I can give you up to 60 days to pay without putting you on probation. If you need it longer than 60 days, we have a probation option. It's just appearance and pay only, and it ends as soon as you've paid the fines and fees. So is 60 days sufficient?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm going to ask you, do you know how to use the chat function?
This is my first time using Zoom, so I'll probably have to be walked through.
You're doing better than most. No, okay. So I'm going to send you a test on chat. And when you see it, a red letter or I'm sorry, a red number should pop up on your screen. Wherever that red number is, click on that. And then I'll walk you through how to send the information to Miss Castaneda, okay?
All right.
All right, so when you see test come up, you see the number, click on that. See it?
Okay. I got you.
All right, so when you click on it, it should open and you'll see Judge Hayward in the blue space. Click on the blue space and it should bring down a menu with names and you're looking for Brenda Castaneda.
Send to,
You want to
okay.
send it to Brenda, yeah.
All right.
All right, so send her your email address. Make sure you check it twice to make sure that you have all the letters and numbers in the right place. Once you send her your email address, she's gonna send that back, your information about your fines and the date it's due. That's gonna come back to you in an email along with instructions about how to pay, okay?
All right. Yes, ma'am. I got you.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Bronson. Be careful and slow down for me, sir. And don't miss that deadline. Make sure you pay it within the 60 days.
I got you. I will.
All right, take care, sir.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Ms. King, I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with the courtroom so y'all can work out whatever the remaining cases are on either calendar.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your patience. The state and the defense firm are working on resolving the remaining cases. And once they've done that, they can come back and make announcements and we can go forward with whatever the agreements are, okay? I'm gonna move the courtroom to room number 2. So the state and the Lister Holt Dennis are both in room number 2.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I think we're ready when the court is ready.
The court is ready. All right, what we got?
Are we proceeding on the arraignment calendar or the jail calendar? Because we're ready.
Whatever y'all tell me.
I think if we could get some off of the arraignment calendar since they've been waiting. So for Jaleel Jones, Your Honor, he's here. He had a bench warrant. Mr. Jones, can you turn your camera on, please? He had a bench warrant. He's asking for it to be removed. He missed court. He said he didn't notice. And then he contacted the court to get put on the next available calendar. It's a no license charge, so he's assured me that he's going to go get his license. And then I told him he needs to come down here to change his address.
Okay, has he come and changed the address?
Not yet, Your Honor. He needs to have a way to get here. I told him to call the clerk of courts to see if there's any way to change it without coming down.
Yeah, she said I had to come in.
Yeah. So he's got to get a ride.
Okay.
Unless I'm able to do it for him.
Look, whatever y'all, the clerk's office works out, but I don't set their policy. So if they let you come down there and change his information, that's on them. But as far as I know, it's Mr. Jones's responsibility to do that. And the procedures are set up to make him do it.
Your Honor, I've done it before. There's a form that they can allow the attorney to fill out. So I don't.
Well, that's, if you're going to do it. But what's the status of what's the announcement on the state of the case?
Your Honor, he's going to plead not guilty for now. He's assured me that he's going to go get his license. So I'm hoping that we can resolve it once he gets his driver's license. He said he needs about 30 days or so to get it.
Yeah, because I don't understand folk they will drive with no license just as sure, and then the license costs $40, but they're risking $700 to drive with a license without a license when the license costs $40. Come on now, that don't make economic sense or common sense. So this is what if you manage to change his address for him and you can show proof that you did, then I'll sign the bench warrant set aside. He can take the bus down here and change it himself. I'll sign the bench warrant set aside, but the address has to be changed before I sign the bench warrant set aside.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
Your Honor, just to clarify, the defendant can mail in a change of address form, but we do allow the attorneys to change it for them. But just to clarify for him, he does not have to come down in person. He can mail that in.
See, an expert. Thank you, Ms. Castaneda. Because I'm not going to speak for y'all, but I know there's people who know. So if he wants to mail it in, fine. If you want to change it for him, fine. But as soon as I see proof that it's been changed, then I'll do the bench warrant set aside. Until then, I'll accept his not guilty plea. I'm good.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
For my purposes, you're free to go, but listen to your attorney.
Can you
Okay.
put your address in the chat, Mr. Jones? So that way I have it written down and I'll go before I leave today.
Yes, I will.
All right, don't send it to everybody, Mr. Jones. Make sure you send it to courtroom 304.
Okay.
So when you go to chat, click on the blue name and look for the pull down list and then click on courtroom 304. All right, Tanya Renee McClendon, what's going on with McClendon? She has 2 cases.
Your Honor, I believe she reached out to the office saying that she's in the hospital. I had scheduled her initially, and I want to say that's our client who reached out to Ms. Val and our office to let us know. I'm just verifying that she's in the hospital, so we're asking if it could be reset.
Which hospital?
Your Honor, I don't know. It says she was trying to fax over documentation to our office, is what I got yesterday, and it doesn't look like anybody uploaded anything. I can reach out to find out.
All right, bench warrant for bench warrant until such time as I get confirmation that it was a medical issue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I won't do the bond forfeiture, but I will do the bench warrant. All right, on Perkins, Taquan.
Your Honor, that was another issue where he said he didn't get notice. He thinks the notice may have gone to the address he was told to stay away from. He's got notice from his bonding company here today. He's asking for the bench warrant to be set aside. He missed an arraignment and would like to plead not guilty.
All right, so I'll accept his not guilty, but same here, he can, when I see proof that he's changed his address, then I'll get rid of the bench warrant set aside.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And for Williams, Tatiana Chanel Williams.
Please turn your camera on. That's going to be a no, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Williams, may I see you, please? Miss Williams? Tatiana Williams?
I could try to give her a call since she's not coming up if we want to move on to the jail count.
I'm trying to get the camera up now. One second.
Okay. Ms. Williams, I didn't ask you, I failed to ask you, how long will you need to pay the fine? The judge will give you up to 60 days.
Okay.
Ms. Williams, so remember it's a $300 fine. It'll be like closer to $450 or so with the court.
$444 with the surcharges.
$444. I didn't ask you how long you'll need to pay it.
Is there a payment plan?
You can do 60 days, or the judge can do 12 months of pay only probation. If you need more time to speak to me, move
You
on.
said 60 days for what?
She'll give you 60 days without putting you on a pay only probation. If you need more time to speak with me, I can call you.
Okay.
You want me to call you?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, if we can move on to the jail calendar and I'll call Ms. Williams. I'm sorry.
Yes, people back here. You know the people back here? Okay.
We can proceed with Mr. Sheridan.
Sheridan, that's what we need.
Yes.
Huh? With like keys for, no, I don't have no keys. Yeah, I ain't got no keys. Like physical keys.
Is this Mr. Sheridan?
Yes, Your Honor.
Raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
You can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2024 CR 06212 Jaquan Dontrell Sheridan for a public drunk, count 1, and theft by shoplifting, count 2. What is your client plea to the offenses before the court, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor. To count 1, public drunk, my client pleads no low. To count 2, theft by shoplifting, he pleads guilty.
By entering a plea of no low to count 1 and guilty to count 2, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. You understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Back on July 2nd of this year, officers responded to the Chevron gas station located at 222 Upper Riverdale Road in Jonesboro. When they got there, they spoke to the employee there who had advised that the defendant had came into the store and was opening up alcoholic beverages and drinking them. He appeared to be visibly intoxicated and had a strong odor of alcohol coming from his person. He was shouting and yelling. He also walked out the store with several cans of alcoholic beverages without paying for them. The state's recommendation for count one is 12 months, served 29 days. Credit for any time served. Balance will be probated. He is to complete a substance abuse evaluation, any recommended treatment, and he is not to consume any drugs or alcohol while on probation. Count two will be 12 months. Served 29 days, credit for any time served, balance probated. He is to complete an anti-theft course. It was a $200 fine, but the state is going to suspend that. And then we could do 30, well, we agreed to 30 hours of community service work. And then he is not to return to 222 Upper Riverdale Road in Jonesboro.
Hey, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor. Nothing from the defense. We just ask that you accept the sentence as recommended.
All right. So, Mr. Sheridan, how old are you, sir?
30.
All right, Mr. Sheridan, this not the kind of thing you want your life to be known for, sir. I'm going to need you to start thinking about what you want your life to look like, because public drunk, death by shoplifting, that's not who you are.
No, ma'am. I'm not.
Okay.
It's not me.
So I'm going to accept your plea of NOLO. I'm going to accept your plea of guilty. I'll sentence you to 12 months on the NOLO on the count one, 29 days credit for time served. Balance will be probated for you to take a substance abuse evaluation and any treatment that they might offer. You're to have no alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of your 12 months probation. You're subject to random screens for alcohol and drugs. Count two will run concurrent with count one, 12 months, 29 days, credit for time served. Balance will be probated for you to take an anti-theft course, do 30 hours of community service, and the $200 fine will be suspended. You are not to go back to 222 Upper Riverdale Road in Jonesboro, Georgia, Clayton County. And you're not to have any new violations of the law. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. You can go back with the sheriff's office. Who's next?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ready on Ms. Williams.
On the arraignment calendar?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
In a second, he's gonna go after Williams.
All right, Mr. Williams, may I see you and hear you?
Okay, I'm here.
Ms. Williams.
All right. Ms. Williams,
Yes, ma'am.
you about to pick up another charge. So you want to go to jail for distracted driving?
No, ma'am. I'm trying to pull over right now.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I thought you would do. All right, I'm gonna need you to put the car in park.
I am turning right now.
Y'all just take all kinds of liberties. I could demand that everybody come into court and spend hours waiting for us to go through these cases. Y'all don't take court seriously. Folk be in bed, driving, doing hair, all kinds of foolishness. Raise your right hand for me, ma'am.
Oh, right here.
Right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Tatiana Williams. Whew. 2023 CR 05223 for obstruction of an officer. You're represented by Attorney Chelsea Hahn with the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Hahn, what is your client plead to the offense before the court?
Nolo, Your Honor.
By internal plea of nolo, Ms. Williams, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Back on February 17th of 2021, the defendant, Tatiana Williams, did commit the crime of obstruction when she assisted co-defendant William Knight in covering up a vehicle that had been involved in a vehicle crash located at the Pine Grove Apartments complex in Riverdale. The state's recommendation is a $300 fine.
All right, Ms. Hahn.
Your Honor, we just ask that you accept the negotiated plea. Ms. Williams has let me know that she needs 60 days to pay the fine.
All right. Ms. Williams, if somebody hit your car right now today, you'd be hot mad and you'd want them prosecuted to the fullest extent, especially if they disabled your car to the point where you couldn't use it for what your needs were. To try and cover up for somebody else who victimized another person, that shows that you're not a very compassionate person. If it happened to you, you'd be hopping mad, but you were willing to help somebody else cover up something that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I see you hardcore. So I'm just saying, it's not a good look for you, ma'am. The fine is going to be $300, 60 days to pay. Ms. Hahn, do you have her email address, or Ms. Williams, do you know how to use the chat function?
Your Honor, I've chatted it to Ms. Castaneda.
All right. If you fail to pay it within the 60 days, an arrest warrant will issue. All right, I think I got it. You can go ahead about your business, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're ready on Holloway.
Okay. She'll be back.
How are you doing? I'm here for Holloway. I don't know if I was supposed to take them off mute yet.
Okay, hold on. Sit down so you don't make me dizzy. All right. All right, Mr. Holloway, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true? I can't hear you, muted.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Justin Adam Holloway, 2021 CR 05109 for simple battery family violence, simple battery family violence count 3, and simple battery count 4. You're represented by Attorney Chelsea Hahn, who's with you from the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Hahn, what is your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Ms. King, I didn't get your answer about if you cared about Nolo or not.
That's a simple battery, no objection to Nolo.
Nolo on counts 1 and 3.
All right, by entering a plea of nolo to counts 1 and 3, counts 2 and 4 will merge. You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest test could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis And recommendation, please.
Honor, back on October 26th of 2020, officers were dispatched to 911 Berman Circle in Jonesboro in reference to a domestic disturbance. Upon arrival, they made contact with the victim listed in the first count, Guana Holloway. It is the defendant's wife. She advised that they had got into a verbal argument about a McDonald's order. He got upset, threw a burger at her, and then proceeded to open up a container of juice and pour it over her head. The altercation continued, at which point Jordan Fuller, the victim's daughter, came downstairs because she heard them arguing, at which point he threw something at her and attempted to swing at her as well. The state's recommendation is for count 1, 12 months, served 20 days, credit for any time served, balance probated. He is to complete the anger management course. It would be a $300 fine, suspended since he's been in jail. No contact with victims. I don't believe they're together. And I think Jordan Fuller was the victim's daughter, not his. So it would be no contact with the victim, Guana Holloway. Count 2 would merge. Count 3 would be 12 months, served 20 days. Credit for any time served. And then that would be concurrent with count 1, and he is to have absolutely no contact with Jordan Fuller.
So, Ms. King, I thought we were doing the just the probation without the credit for time served wording.
Oh, I apologize. So, Your Honor, if I could restate the recommendation, we worked out something different. It will be 12 months probation. Then he is to complete the anger management course. $300 fine, suspended, and then no contact with victim Guana Holloway. And then count 2 would merge. Count 3 would be 12 months probation, no contact with victim Jordan Fuller, and that will run concurrent with count 1. So no credit for time served, just the probation.
So he's not getting credit for time served.
He's not. The offer is not going to include any time served, basically, because he's on parole, basically, and I guess that's going to mess him up if we said credit for time served. So
all right,
it's going to be a time served offer anyway, so we're just going to do probation.
Okay, let me ask you this. So this is a case, this is an old case.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have anything with these victims since this?
From my understanding, because Jordan Fuller is here.
My understanding.
Yes, I am.
Hold on 1 second.
No, Your Honor. So he hasn't picked up any charges with these victims. So I just try not to rock the boat too much, but he does have a child with one of the alleged victims. And so
yes, the Joanna Holloway.
Miss Holloway, Guana Holloway?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, because if there's been no negative contact since then I'm fine with this recommendation. But if there's any reason for them to still have contact, then I need to put some rules in place as to how they want to have contact.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So Mr. Holloway, my understanding is that I don't have any indication that you've had negative contact with the individuals listed in this case. And this is a pretty old case, but the fact that you do have a child with one of the victims is going to mean that you got a co-parent, that your child deserves to have both parents. But the way that's done, sir, is you have to go through the Superior Court and petition to have all of that stuff straightened out. Legitimation, visitation, paternity, all of those things they can do in one fell swoop. And then once you have all those things worked out, Superior Court can give you a document that says how you're to have contact with the parent, the other parent, how you're to have contact, what schedule of visitation and contact you're to have with the child. I understand people are like, but that's my child. Well, there's rules to this. If y'all were married and the legality of parenting was clear on both sides under the law, wouldn't be an issue. But in this case, it's not. So you got to establish that before you can just exercise your parental rights. So I don't want you going over there and say, I want to see my child without having these things in place. Okay. You understand what I'm saying, Mr. Holloway? Because Mr. Holloway, it's not just about this case. It's my understanding that you got some other stuff pending that you don't want to mess up.
No, ma'am. I'm currently on. I don't have any other charges pending. I'm just on parole. I have been on parole since even before the situation. And after the situation in 2021 or whatever it was, the only everything has been cordial. The only relationship we've had is about the child, and it's not been any kind of contact or anything like that. But we are cordial about my son. And I understand what you're saying. Like, I'm gonna have to go through the court to get visitation with us, so I can't have any contact with my son until I go through Superior Court.
Well, your son is not part of this order, but what I'm telling you is you don't want to violate this order by having contact with his mother, and by having contact with Miss Fuller. I understand that you want to co-parent. What I'm saying to you is, if you want to make sure you don't mess up on this order and you don't mess up on parole, and they have forms for it. It's not like you have to have a lawyer present this stuff for you. They got forms for it. Fulton County has a whole office that'll help you, help you fill out the forms to get, and the forms are all the same. You can use the same form, you just change the county. So they have what they call a Family Law Information Center in Fulton County. I think they got one in DeKalb County. We just don't have one here. But they'll help you fill out the forms and help y'all get to court to get all that straightened out. Because I get it. Parents want to co-parent, but I don't want you violating your parole. I don't want there to be an incident that is negative for Miss Holloway or Miss Fuller. But I know a child needs to be co-parented, and this situation wasn't necessarily about the child. So I'm just giving you this information so that you're not back here for something that could have been avoided. You got me?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. So that's all I'm saying. So I'm going to accept your plea of nolo to counts 1 and 3. Count 2 will merge. Count 4 will merge. 12 months. Balance will be probated for you to take an anger management class. The $300 fine will be suspended as long as you have no contact, unless a court orders it. You're to have no contact with Juana Holloway and Jordan Fuller unless a court orders it, or orders a particular kind of contact. You're also on count 3, 12 months to balance will be probated for you to have no contact with Jordan Fuller. Both of them, no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia, and count 1 and count 3 will run concurrent. Okay.
Your Honor, I did forget to address one last thing. So Mr. Holloway, when he leaves here, he's got a hold where he's going to be attending an administrative hearing in relation to his parole. I'm sorry.
It's not in jail. I will be released, but I have to show it to parole officer to have an administrative.
Okay. So he'll be showing up to his parole officer to have an administrative hearing. He believes that at that time, he's going to be asked to be admitted into an inpatient rehab program. And,
that would be wonderful.
Right. And so one of the things that it's going to impact is his probation reporting, he believes. So we're asking that while he's in inpatient, that he be able to report via phone or mail. The issue, and I believe I mentioned it to Ms. King, is that he hasn't been admitted into that. So what I told him is that once he's admitted, if he could reach out to us and we can explain, or if you're on.
Okay, so let's make it conditional. So the terms and conditions of probation can be modified upon proof of entering into a residential treatment facility. As long as he is continuing in the residential treatment facility, and reports are made to probation, the court will accept that as the fulfillment of the probation sentence.
And Your Honor, and we're also asking in that case that his probation supervision fees be waived while he's in the inpatient.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you.
All right, so Ms. Fuller, did you have anything that you wish to add to this? You've heard everything that we've discussed.
No, besides the fact that what was already said, there hasn't been any negative altercations. Before that, he just got back into custody, he would talk to my younger brother, and the relationship is fine. We've been okay. So just anything to help him like resolve what he got going on so he can keep seeing my little brother, it's fine.
Okay.
But yeah.
That works. Like I said, kids need parent, and no parent is perfect. I'm gonna tell you, no parent is perfect. But kids need both parents, and if you can get both parents to the point where they are prioritizing the child, then that's the point that you want. Kids want access to both parents, and they need that. So, Mr. Holloway, if they offer you residential treatment, take it. Get your life on track, sir. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How old is your son?
9 years old.
Oh man, he's at that age where they know everything and they're curious about everything and they're learning everything. And they're just so smart, that age where it's just everything is coming into them and they're absorbing everything. So you want to be there for that.
Yes, ma'am. We have a wonderful relationship, me and him. And,
Good.
I want to make sure to keep that. I want to make sure I keep that bond. That was my biggest concern about the situation. So
I got you. And what the way Ms. Fuller has represented it is you're doing what you need to do for your son, but I want to make sure that there's no impediment to you fathering your child. I'm big on that. I'm big on dads, being a father, not just somebody who created a child. So whatever helps you be a better dad, we're working on that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. So anything else at this point?
No.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Holloway, you can go back with the sheriff's office. Thank you, Ms. Fuller. You're free to go.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. And who's next? So I got on the jail calendar remaining, I have I believe I missed somebody. Who is it? Oh, I got Love, Deshaun Love. I have Sheridan, and I have Smith, DeAndrea Smith.
So every time I call you.
Your Honor, we're bringing out Mr. Smith now.
Okay.
Your Honor, Mr. Deshaun Love was on the calendar call yesterday.
Yeah, he was on the calendar yesterday, and you all represented that the attorney who's listed on there, he says that's not his attorney and that he wanted Lister, Holt, and Dennis. So I just moved the case from the calendar call to today. Have you all had an opportunity to speak with him?
No, Your Honor, they have not brought up Mr. Love.
Oh, okay.
I've spoken to him.
Your Honor, I think the list that they had given.
Yeah, it was revised yesterday. So that's the issue.
If he can, Your Honor, if it's possible that he come up next week. He did let me know. I mean, I spoke to him. He let me know that he's going to be ready for trial. So it's just a matter of us making sure that we have everything that we need from the state.
Okay. Then we can do Love next week. We will move him to the next Tuesday calendar.
Okay.
And then did y'all need him on a calendar, or is he just going to be moved to the September 9th calendar?
Your Honor, I think just a September 9th calendar, because I spoke with him, because, I recognized him. He recognized me. He said that he wants to still have a trial, that there was a confusion about Mr. Eno, and so he wants us to represent him. He said he's going to be ready for trial. So
I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. So we'll put him, Miss Val, Mr. Love goes to the September 9th trial calendar, and his counsel, I'll go ahead and sign if there's something for me to sign. I think there's a withdrawal pending, and he's confirmed that he doesn't want, he wants Mr. Holt and Dennis. So if there's something for me to sign, I'll sign that. He'll be ready for trial on September 9th.
Yes, I sent you the withdrawal from Eno office. They sent the withdrawal.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Also, we're bringing Smith up. Is that who's next?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Smith, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Smith, you're before the court on 2024 CR 06371 DeAndrea Smith for loitering and obstruction. Count 1 is loitering, count 2 is obstruction. What is your client plea to the offenses before the court, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Smith pleads no load to both counts.
All right, by entering a plea of no load to counts 1 and 2, You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Your Honor, back on July 13th of this year, officers responded to 6937 Jonesboro Road in Morrow, which is the Shell Food Mart. In reference to a disturbance. Upon arrival, they spoke with the employee who had advised the defendant was hanging around the store.
Ms. King, I lost the last 3 or 4 sentences of what you said. There's a lot of static.
Okay, so the location was the Shell Mart. The officer spoke to an employee there who had advised that the defendant had been hanging around the store and not buying anything, that he would place items on the counter, would refuse to buy them, and then he refused to leave when asked to leave. During the officer's investigation, he attempted to obtain the defendant's identifying information and he refused to give it, hindering his investigation. The state's recommendation for count 1 is 12 months, serve 18 days, credit for any time served, then balance will be suspended, and he is not to return to 6937 Jonesboro Road in Morrow, Georgia. And then for count 2, it just be a $300 fine suspended.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor. We just ask that you accept the sentence as negotiated.
All right. So, sir, I'm going to accept your plea of nolo to counts 1 and 2, 12 months to serve 18 days, credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you do not go back to 6937 Jonesboro Road, Morrow, Georgia, Clayton County, on count, and that you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. On count 2, which will run concurrent with count 1, $300 fine will be suspended for credit for time served. All right, I believe that's the end of the calendar, but if it's not, let me know.
Thank you, Your
I
Honor.
have your
All righty, thank y'all so much. And take care. See y'all on the next calendar.
have a good one.
All right.